our channel. In this short video, I will demonstrate the cross-account rule ARN capability for creating EKS clusters. Now, this particular capability can be used if an organization has multiple AWS accounts. They have to create EKS clusters or resources on each AWS account based on the user role. Now, previously, user had to create cloud credentials per AWS account. Now, if you see, I have a master AWS account. There are other accounts connected or linked to this master account called QA, stage, test, or nth AWS account. Now, these are called child accounts. So now by leveraging the master AWS account, user can switch between to these particular accounts seamlessly and then create EKS clusters in these accounts. Now, prior to this, if you see in our cloud credentials, users had to create cloud credential for the each account. Now, instead of that, now user just has to create or add this master cloud credentials, which has the master role ARN, and then Rafe will internally fetch the other child accounts, and then that's how user can switch between these particular accounts and create the EKS resource in that particular account. Now, by utilizing this cross account role capability, you need to configure the AWS backend accordingly. Now let's look at the AWS configuration. Now, if you see, this is my master account, and then if you see it is 6791, I have created a master role here. Master role, let's look at the policies that I have attached to this master role. If you go to the JSON view, now if you see, I have a limited policy set which is required for this role to fetch the other child accounts. And this is how the child accounts are configured. This is QA, this is stage, test role. Using the STS assume, this particular master role will assume these particular roles that I have configured in the master role. This is how the master role looks like, which is configured in the master AWS account. Now if you let's look at one of the child role, which is QA role, and see what is configured there. Let me take you to the QA. This is my QA AWS account. I have created a QA role here. Let me go to QA role. Let's click on the QA role and look at the policies which is attached to the QA role. If you see the JSON view, this has a policy set which is required for this role, which will be used by this role to create the EKS cluster when the user will switch to this particular role to create the EKS cluster. Now, this is how a role with a policy looks like in the QA AWS account. Now let's look at the Rafe configuration. Now, if you go to Rafe, and this is the master role, which is basically the role ARN of this particular role, and that is there in the master account. Now, when I go to clusters and click on new clusters, create a new cluster, continue, and then select public cloud, AWS provider, and the service type. Let's give it the name EKS demo role ARN and go ahead and click continue. Now, the moment you hit continue, you will see the cluster configuration page. Now, let me select the master role. Now, if you see, once I selected the master role, I got this option called use cross role ARN. Now, when I click on it, it's going to list out me all the child account roles which user can use based on the configuration, based on the resource that it has to create, right? Suppose I have to create an EKS cluster in the stage or a QA account. Now, if I'll just simply choose the QA account and then select the appropriate instance type and then click on save changes. Once I hit save changes and click on provision, you will see the EKS cluster will start getting created in the QA AWS account instead of master AWS account. So now let me take you to the QA AWS account. Let's go to CloudFormation template and let me refresh this. You will see this particular cluster getting created in the AWS QA account. Now, this way you can leverage the cross account role capability, and then you can switch between these accounts that you would want to use to create EKS cluster using the Rafe platform. That's it for the video. I hope you like it. Have a good one. Bye bye. Thanks a lot for your time. Have a good one. Bye bye.